For me, it is about the law and people.
That is not a legal defense, let me tell you.
And how people can resolve and better themselves.
Justice with passion.
I knew I was going to go into law because I always defended everybody. I was always the one who found a solution and tried to resolve the problem by having people talk to each other.
Justice with truth.
So I'm giving you one more chance to tell me the truth.
This is Justice for All with Judge Cristina Pérez. Bill Lane is suing Andy Odaf in the amount of $1,200. Mr. Lane claims Ms. Odaf took money from his paycheck to cover the loss of a homing pigeon. But Mr. Lane doesn't believe he should be financially responsible. Ms. Odaf claims Mr. Lane didn't do his job properly, and that caused her expensive homing pigeon to fly away.
All rise. Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Cristina Pérez presiding. Please be seated. All parties have been sworn in, Your Honor.
Thank you, Bernard. Mr. Lane, I understand you worked for Ms. Odaf, is that correct?
That is correct, Your Honor.
All right, and you worked as a ranch hand?
Correct, or like more of a farm manager.
Okay, tell me exactly what you did.
Well, basically, I worked with her father for about 20 years and kind of watched her grow up. And what I did was basically watch over the farm, livestock, all the various birds, the equipment, and making sure things ran. That's what I did with her father.
Okay.
He got ill. He became ill a while back, and about 9 months ago, he asked his daughter Andy to hire me on, so with my 30 years of experience, basically, to help with the transition and merging everything.
So, Ms. Odaf, you took over your father's farm, or?
I didn't take over it. I essentially have my own farm as well as a pet supply business that I also run. But when my father got ill and passed away, I took all the livestock and birds and chickens and everything from his farm and merged them onto my farm.
Okay. And so then what happened, Mr. Lane? You're suing her for $1,200. So explain to me what happened.
One of the things that John, her father, did was homing pigeons. And I've taken care of all sorts of other flying birds, and the turkeys and pheasants and geese and quail, the whole gamut, chickens. And so I was excited to do this kind of a thing because it was something that he did by himself. It was his hobby. He wouldn't let anyone else do anything. It was something he shared with his daughter. So I was kind of, you know, in reference to trying to run the farm and to do things efficiently, she wasn't very open to suggestions. And so we kind of knocked heads a lot. And so I was hoping that this
Well, you had your way of doing things. She had her way of doing things. How long have you owned your farm?
I've owned my farm for 10 years, Your Honor, but I've been around homing pigeons all my life. Right before my father died, we traveled up to Sacramento and bought the particular hummingbird in question. We actually bought it, and then, you know, Bill honestly didn't listen to me, and it flew away, and now, you know, I took $1,200 from him because of that.
So what was the issue here?
Well, the main problem is that her father and John, we did things in a humane way. And there's been a way of clipping all bird feathers that fly to keep them at home, basically, until they're trained to leave and do otherwise, such as the homing pigeon. And there's a specific way it's been done for hundreds and hundreds of years. It's humane. There is no blood loss. There's no pain to the animal. The thing is that there's a trim on the outside feather that you leave. So it's ungainly. It doesn't look good. But there's a couple things. One, it doesn't hurt. Two, the bird is still able to fly and get up to roost to get away from predators if they came into the enclosure, and secondly, if they were to nest and then you clip them the other way, they don't get to the nest, the hatchlings will die, and if you bring the hatchlings down, they won't take care of it, they'll avoid it.
Okay, so that's how
you'd
like to cut.
That's how we've always done it in the past.
Okay,
and
what were her instructions to you on how to trim the wings?
There's a new way of flavor of the month, if you will, where you actually nip at the quill where it goes into the wing itself. And the problem is that if you don't get it right, it bleeds. And every time that the bird hits the feather until it grows out completely again, actually it has to fall out first, it bleeds again and again and again. It'll never heal until it gets pulled out.
That's how we've been doing it for the last few years. That's really the modern trend. I mean, there are obviously two different ways to do this. There's the standard method, which I guess Bill was employing while he worked for my father, and then there's the quill method. In my pet stores, I deal with breeders all day long, and they talk about that the quill method is the more accepted method at this point in time. It's not inhumane. It cuts the feathers in such a way where the birds will not fly away. And so, you know,
But they can't even protect themselves.
But can they fly high enough to get away from a predator or high enough to go to their babies?
Well, Your Honor, what we have is the way the coops are built, we have wood that surrounds the bottom 4 to 5 feet of the coop, so predators aren't even going to get in because the remaining of the coop is covered in chicken wire.
Do you have pictures or anything that
Yes, Your Honor, I do. I have pictures of the actual different types of methods for the wings.
All right. So then, Mr. Lane, you didn't like this new method or the HIPAA method that she was using. You preferred the standard way that you've been doing this.
Well,
is that correct?
You know, in deference to her, she is the boss. I started doing it that way, even though it wasn't the way that her father and I done it or hadn't been done before.
Did you know how to do it this new way? The quill
She
method,
showed
is
me.
it?
She showed me.
I showed him.
Did you sit down and show him in detail
Yes, she
how to
did.
do it?
I did, and I explained it to him when I first brought him on that's how I wanted to do things.
But the problem was, it's twofold. One is that after that, she wasn't involved with it, and I was the one doing it. And when I'm the one holding the bird, and I'm the one snipping right there at the end of the wing, and you see the distress of the bird, and the panic, and everything else, and instead of them coming to you when you come in, because they're clever, they're quite smart, you know, all of them running, it was just very traumatic.
Coming up on Justice for All.
I opened the door of the coop, and the one in question was right there at the wood at the corner, and didn't see him. So when I opened, he came out behind me and took off.
And later,
I guess I said that I can't even believe that, you know, I have what it takes to be a Middle Eastern dancer and I'm not even Middle Eastern. Everyone at the table stared at me. It was a very awkward moment.
we're back with the case of Bill Lane, who is suing Andy Odaf for $1,200.
The other thing.
Did you ever experience that, Ms.
I never
Oda?
had that issue. I've had homing pigeons for years, and we've, you know, in the last, like I said, the last few years I've been cutting them this way. There's been no issue.
And
There's no harm to these birds.
The second part of this has to do with the pet store. Doing it her way, they look more gathered, more trim, more proper. You know, kind of like if you trim the little dog that you carry in your purse, kind of a thing. But that's not what's good for the bird. The other way, they're a little bit more disheveled looking. Yes, which impacts the ability to sell them in the pet shop. So I think it's more of a thing of that rather than being humane and doing the right
so then what happened
thing.
on this day? Because you're suing her for $1,200. So
Right.
explain
So
to me.
what happened on that Wednesday was that I opened the door of the coop, and like she says, you know, there's wood around the base for predators, hopefully. But and you go you shoe them, and you open the door, and they generally go back. And the one in question was right there at the wood at the corner, and didn't see him. So when I opened, he came out behind me and took off. And so what I do, obviously, is I slammed the coop closed. I looked for it, and I said, you know, and the little fellow was gone.
Okay. Why did it fly away if the feathers were trimmed properly?
They weren't trimmed properly.
Did you trim the feathers the way Ms. Odaf told you to trim them? All of them?
No.
This specific pigeon flew away. This was the pigeon that cost you over $1,200.
It was $1,200. It was just very special to me, Your Honor, because this was the last pigeon that my father had bought. We traveled from Lancaster up to Sacramento to get it. We actually named it John after my dad. And when he passed away, I just wanted to breed this pigeon, kind of keep the memory of my father alive. I mean, this has been a hobby of mine since I was a kid.
You know, technically she is your boss. You have to follow those instructions.
Correct, but then she can fire me. She can't take my money.
I understand that, but at the same time, you shouldn't have disobeyed her. Those were her instructions. If you were not able to handle how you treated the pigeons, you should have quit.
Right.
So are you responsible for the pigeon flying away? Yes, because you didn't do what she did. If you had continued cutting, had any of your pigeons ever flown away?
No.
Okay. So you see, that's the difference there, Mr. Lane. So, but you are right, Ms. Odaf. You can't deduct wages. You can't do that. An employer cannot do that. You can't. I mean, that's not the proper method of doing that.
I understand that, Your Honor. The problem is, I mean, the employment agreement that we have indicates he's an at-will employee. I can terminate.
It doesn't matter. You can't deduct wages. You can't just do that.
If I wasn't right to deduct, then I apologize to this court, and I'll give him his $1,200 back, and I just want to be done with all of this.
Okay. That is the right thing to do. So what we will do is, based on the defendant's evidence, we will reimburse Mr. Lane, the plaintiff, $1,200 from his wages that he rightfully earned. Based on the evidence, we will make sure that the defendant reimburses you the $1,200 and rule in your favor. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Judge Perez has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant is ordered to pay $1,200.
I don't think my father would have been too happy with us seeing us today, so I'm just hoping we can put everything behind us and have a fresh start.
Your father would be proud of you for doing the right thing, and I'm sorry that the bird escaped.
Coming up on Justice for All.
I guess I said that I can't even believe that, I have what it takes to be a Middle Eastern dancer and I'm not even Middle Eastern. Everyone at the table stared at me. It was a very awkward moment.
Maggie Kins is suing Sarah Mansouri in the amount of $1,000. Ms. Kins claims her dance troupe took away her trophy and monetary prize after they discovered she wasn't Middle Eastern. Ms. Mansouri claims the plaintiff lied to gain entry into the group, and based on that, she is disqualified and ineligible to take the prize.
Ms. Kins, you're a dancer.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and what kind of dance do you dance?
I actually do Middle Eastern dance, and I was in a group with her, and this group was called Ironic Impact, and I saw their ad online for Middle Eastern dancers.
Was it on a website, a public website, or?
Yes, it was on Craigslist, and so they had the ad up saying that they were looking for Middle Eastern dancers, and I was really excited about this opportunity because I'm currently studying Middle Eastern dancing, and so I saw this as my chance to be able to do it outside of school. And I have the ad right here, actually.
Sure, go ahead and give your evidence to Bernard.
Give me everything. Give me everything.
So the ad, what did it say? It said we're dance. What's the name of your dance troupe, Miss Mansouri?
Ironic Impact.
Ironic Impact. And so you had a dance audition seeking
A 10th member to fulfill our group so that
Okay.
we could compete in the competition that we were
Okay,
pursuing.
so you had an open public audition seeking a dancer for a Middle Eastern dance troupe. Okay, how many people? Sears inquiries only. How many people showed up?
Currently we had 9, and we were looking to fill a 10th spot to fill a certain bracket. They have different brackets for when you're competing in dances, what size group you are. So we were 1 short. We wanted to fulfill that. So we were looking for a serious Middle Eastern dancer of Middle Eastern descent. So we put the ad out there and hoping we got some serious contestants.
Okay. And so, but here it just says you're looking for a serious inquiry. It doesn't say the person had to be of Middle Eastern descent.
Well, it was implied in the language when we said Middle Eastern dancer, we meant of descent.
No, it's not implied. I just thought somebody who, are you Middle Eastern?
No, I'm not, Your Honor. I'm actually Hispanic.
Okay.
Well, that was our intention in writing it, whether or not she misunderstood. She had multiple
Well, I
opportunities.
misunderstood, so we both must have understood. Or maybe you weren't clear when you did your flyer. So you went to this dance competition, you saw this online, you went to the audition. How many girls auditioned?
There were about 15 girls there when I went, and we all did our own dance. They had us fill out paperwork. We came in, registered. Then we filled out paperwork saying our experience, what ethnicity we are, which was on there, and I listed myself as other. And then after that, we had to...
So do you have a copy of that
Yes,
application,
I do.
Ms. Mansouri? Okay. Is this the application Ms. Kins filled out?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So the application, your name, address, et cetera, experience, nationality. Okay, go ahead.
Correct. And so I went ahead and put other on there. Didn't see it as a problem. They do list different Middle Eastern ethnicities on there, but I selected other. And then after that, they had us audition. So we had to show them our choreography. And from there, they eliminated everybody else and ended up picking me. They were completely in love with the dance
What
that
kind
I
of
did.
dancer was she?
So she was very good at it, of course, which is why we were drawn to her. She was very experienced, with the studying, that she has done.
She was the best dancer on that day?
Yes, she was.
Coming up,
I guess I said that I can't even believe that, I have what it takes to be a Middle Eastern dancer and I'm not even Middle Eastern. Everyone at the table stared at me. It was a very awkward moment.
closed captioning provided by... We're back with the case of Maggie Kins, who is suing Sarah Mansouri for $1,000.
Okay, so then fantastic. So you joined the group.
Yes, and I was really excited. We ended up rehearsing a lot. There was a competition that was coming up, and so they wanted me to be the 10th member to be able to fill all the spots they need to be able.
How long did it take to prepare for this competition?
About 2 months.
And then what happened, Ms. Kins?
We went to the competition, which was down in San Diego, and when we were there, we actually did great. It was down to solos, and I was chosen as the person to...
Why was she chosen as the person to do the solo?
Well, we all choreographed dances, and we all participated in that. And once she had joined, she did put a lot of work towards creating a solo dance. And as a group, we all agreed that it was the right dance, and we thought, if
was she the best solo dance?
Clearly, we won. So,
So then, what did you win, and what did the troupe win?
So I won a $1,000 scholarship, and we won the trophy for the group. So after we had won the entire competition, we went to dinner. We had the trophy on the table and the check as well. And so I had won that check, and when we were eating, it happened to, I guess I said that, wow, we won the competition, and I can't even believe that, I have what it takes to be a Middle Eastern dancer, and I'm not even Middle Eastern, not thinking it was a big deal. And then all of a sudden it was. Everyone at the table stared at me. It was a very awkward moment. And she actually confronted me and ran out with the trophy, and I haven't seen it since. So
okay.
That is why I'm here.
And they didn't give you the money back?
No, she took that.
No, actually, we sent it back to the competition to let them know that there was a discrepancy, with her particular participation in our group.
Judge Perez's verdict when Justice for All returns. Promotional consideration provided by...
It's her money you gave back. You had no right to do that. Okay? So if you still have the check, cash it and write her the check. And, hey, maybe consider having her be as a backup on certain things when you're, it's up to you. Hey, you know what? You might teach a few people a few lessons about being inclusive. Okay? All right. So good luck to the both of you. I don't think you did anything wrong, Ms. Mansouri. Okay? You just misinterpreted the way you were supposed to do things, and that's okay. But continue doing what you're doing in the sense of supporting your culture and going out there, and you too, Ms. Kins. All right, good luck, ladies.
Judge Perez has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant has been ordered to pay $1,000.
Hopefully we can still be friends after this, and if you guys are willing to be more inclusive, then I could still somehow be part of the dance troupe.
I'll definitely take that into consideration, and I'm sorry that I discriminated against you. I'll get you your money back.